The Muslim Brotherhood appears to be on its way to power in Egypt. Egyptians are voting this week in their latest round of elections for a new government.
And so far, the Islamic groups have been gaining the most votes. That may not be good news for Israel. Mark Martin has the story.
The Muslim Brotherhood is yet to be seated in a new parliament, and already it is giving the world a hint at how it may govern. Like Israel's enemy in Gaza, Hamas, the Brotherhood says it will never recognize Israel's right to exist. The deputy chairman of the Muslim Brotherhood, Rashad Bayoumi, reportedly said Sunday that his organization will not recognize Israel under any circumstances. He called Israel an occupying criminal entity. Bayoumi also said the Brotherhood will take legal steps to cancel the 1979 peace treaty between Egypt and Israel. But the State Department says the Muslim Brotherhood has told it privately that it won't break Egypt's treaty with Israel. Bayoumi's statement came just 2 days before Egyptians began the third round of voting to elect members of a new parliament. The Brotherhood won about 36% of the vote in the first 2 rounds of voting. The extreme Islamist Al-Noor party received about 29%. This Egyptian says he won't be voting for secularists.
Why don't we try Islamists? We have tried seculars, liberals, and communists before, and they ruined the country. So we should try Islamists this time. And if it doesn't work well, it's not a problem. We can change them.
But Middle East analyst Walid Faris says once the Muslim Brotherhood establishes control of a new government, Egyptians may find it difficult to change course.
Their plan is basically to move into government, into those ministries, into bureaucracies, and eventually into the armed forces and seize power as much as they can. The Muslim Brotherhood's aim, final goal, is to establish an Islamic state like Iran or like Sudan or ultimately like the Taliban.
And what's next? The struggle over who will draft the new constitution. The Muslim Brotherhood wants the new parliament to appoint the people assigned to write the document, but the ruling military council says it will decide. It wants the new constitution to be written by non-Islamists as well, including Christians. Mark Martin, CBN News.
Well, it's a difficult time, particularly for Israel. When you look at the nations surrounding her, they all appeared to be bent on her destruction now. And what was an Arab Spring is now turning into a Muslim theocracy coming. And if you think that they're going to honor that treaty, if you believe our government saying, well, we've had private conversations with them and they want to honor their international obligations, well, they were saying that just to maintain the U.S. support, which is in the billions of dollars, for military aid to Egypt. And what are they going to do with that? Well, exactly what they did to Anwar Sadat. He recognized the State of Israel. He established the peace treaty, the Camp David Accords, and as a result, the Muslim Brotherhood assassinated him. And when they say we will not recognize Israel, they mean it. And when they say they're going to cancel that treaty, they mean it as well. Lee Webb has the rest of our top stories from the CBN Newsroom. Lee?
Gordon, the unemployment rate fell slightly last month, dropping by 0.1 of a point to 8.5%. That is the lowest level in nearly 3 years and better than most analysts expected. But economists still don't look for the jobs picture to improve significantly in the months ahead. Republican presidential candidate Rick Santorum raised $2 million in just 2 days after his strong showing in Iowa. Santorum's campaign is taking in money faster than ever, and he's moving up in the national polls. Mitt Romney remains #1 in the latest Rasmussen poll with 29%. Santorum is second at 21%. Newt Gingrich is third at 16%, and Ron Paul fourth at 12%. Romney still has a commanding lead, though, in New Hampshire, but Santorum has moved up to third there behind Ron Paul. President Obama says the U.S. will no longer have the capability of fighting 2 major wars at the same time, at least while he's commander-in-chief. Mr. Obama announced his new defense strategy at the Pentagon yesterday. It is a plan triggered by budget cuts. It will reduce the military focus on Afghanistan and Iraq and place a new emphasis on Asia. The administration says it doesn't anticipate military conflict in Asia, but Defense Secretary Leon Panetta says the U.S. has been so involved in Iraq and Afghanistan that it did not strengthen its position in other parts of the world, like Asia. The new plan also identifies India as a long-term economic and security partner in that region. Doctors in the Philippines are fighting a deadly disease carried by water. The outbreak comes in areas swamped by flash floods after the worst tropical storm in that nation in 3 years. The storm hit in mid-December, and survivors are still dealing with the aftermath. The death toll well over 1,000 and rising. But as Charlene Israel reports, CBN is on the scene to help.
School teacher Erwin Abad is grieving for the many elementary school students who died in the powerful flash floods in northern Mindanao. But she's also concerned for the survivors. She turned to CBN Disaster Relief teams to comfort the traumatized students who escaped the tragedy.
I don't know how to comfort them during that time because I am also a victim of the flood. So I was not able to respond immediately to their side. That is why I asked some program just to give my students a hug.
15-year-old Jessa May says she can still hear her father shouting instructions to her and her other family members as the floodwaters swept them away.
He said, "Child, hang on to the piece of wood and don't let go. Just cling to each other." My father was trying to help a paralyzed man, but the water was already high and the current was very strong. Until now, he is still missing. I want to see my father again.
Jessa May barely made it. She was floating in the open sea, clinging to a piece of wood, when a boat rescued her the next morning. 17-year-old Herlin still complains of pain in her stomach because rescuers had to pump a lot of water from her body. She claims she was already dead when rescuers found her and brought her back to life.
Our house was being swept with the floodwater and I was trapped inside. I was rescued after an hour. I woke up and found myself lying on the street. I wanted to go back and look for my family, but I learned they are all safe. Thank God we are all alive.
CBN served lunch to Jessa May, Herlin, and other students from Irwin School. CBN staff and volunteers listened to their stories and followed up with counseling, prayers, and much-needed hugs.
Thank you very, very much. It is only once in a while that we can eat this kind of food. Most of the time, we eat spoiled food. But today, we were able to eat delicious food.
Thank you to all of you. My brother and I are so full. We are happy to be able to eat, even if we don't have money.
The survivors were also given mats, fresh clothing, and slippers. Perhaps most importantly, they received comfort and hope to overcome difficulties in the days ahead. CBN has doubled relief efforts in the devastated areas, distributing food and other relief goods to thousands of affected families. Medical missions are also being conducted in evacuation centers. And to address the severe shortage of potable water, CBN has set up water purifiers in the area. In the months ahead, CBN will be there to provide for their physical, emotional, and spiritual rehabilitation. Charlene Israel, CBN News.
Our hearts go out to him. Gordon, I know you have a great love for the people of the Philippines. What are you hearing from our ministry team there?
I'm hearing that we're on the ground and we're helping people in need and in very unusual ways because the teams are going out at night. That's when the families have the greatest need. They're trying to find shelter. They're trying to find food. They're trying to find water. During the day, they're trying to clean up, but at night they gather together, and that's the time that our teams are reaching out, and we're doing it in your name. If you're part of the 700 Club, you're part of that relief effort. If you want to give a special gift to help the disaster relief teams, not just in the Philippines, but around the world, we have a CBN Disaster Relief Fund. You can write to us at CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23463, CBN Disaster Relief Fund, or you can call us right now if you want to rush your gift to those in need in the Philippines, 1-800-759-0700. There's also a place on the giving page on CBN.com if you want to use the internet where you can designate your gift to the CBN Disaster Relief Fund. When people are in trouble, we want to be there for them. When disasters strike, we like to strike back. And we like to strike back with love and compassion to give people a hope, to let them know God loves them, we love them, and you can be a part of it. Call us, 1-800-759-0700.
A shocking report out of New York City. A new report shows that 40% of all pregnancies in the city of New York end in abortion. More than 83,000 abortions were performed in the city in 2010. That is down 1% from 2009. The rate is highest in the African American community. 60% of those pregnancies end in abortion. Pregnant teenagers terminated their pregnancies 63% of the time. New York City has the highest abortion rate in the country. Operation Blessing International is supplying shoes to children in Peru. Children in many poor communities run around barefoot because their families can't afford new shoes. So stepping on things like rusty nails is always a concern. Operation Blessing, though, teamed with Tom's Shoes. Tom's is a company that donates a pair of shoes for every pair purchased. Teams measured each child's feet, then distributed a pair of shoes to every child in the community. Operation Blessing International and Tom's have delivered thousands of pairs of shoes to children across Peru as well as in China. You can always find out more about Operation Blessing by going to their website at ob.org.